Thanks for joining in, everyone. We'll wait just a minute and give people some time to get in here. Then we'll get started. Anything good happening this week for anybody? I don't know if you
UK
saw that.
basketball finally won, so
Say it again.
UK basketball finally won.
I know. I'm a huge UK fan, and we went to the Gonzaga game, and needless to say, we left upset. It's okay. That is a good thing, though. Anybody have any good plans for Valentine's Day? I know we're halfway through the day. I wore red today for Client Love and Valentine's Day. So red doesn't suit me well. It makes everything else not work for me, but I'm in the spirit today. We'll probably run in like 1 minute. That's cool with you guys. I will say it's a precursor. Feel free to stop me whenever. I don't want to talk at you for an hour. So if you if you want to make it conversational, let's do it. I'm all for it. So if you feel like you need some more context on something, or if you have a quick question you want me to answer, pop in the chat, put your hand up, interrupt me, whatever you need to do. I'm here for the conversation. Cool. Let me present this. There we go. Awesome. So client love. So in the chat, if you don't mind, tell me just yes or no. Do you currently have a touch plan for your VIPs, your past clients, your sphere of influence, mom, dad, brother, sister, all the people that you care about, friends? Do you currently have a touch plan? Doesn't matter how robust it is, just let me know if you do or not. Cool. Lots of yeses. It's okay to be no, by the way. You're about to get a good one. I'm biased, so I'm going to say it's good, but we'll leave that up for debate afterwards. Cool. Lots of yeses, some nos. Cool. All right. So one, we need to think about what client love even is to start, right? So what is it? Why should you care? And can you implement it? And then how will it make you money? So client love for me started when I realized as a 19-year-old, my dad was a realtor at the time. I had recently became a realtor as a 19-year-old. And I realized, okay, cool. Everyone in my family and my friends are calling my dad and not me. This sucks. So I need to figure out a way to make myself more valuable. Not than my dad, but more valuable in the sense that I'll get enough trust that those people will then start to think of me as well. And I spent about 3 years not doing anything with my past client, or I'm sorry, with my sphere. 3 years of just realtor.com, Google pay-per-click, Facebook before it was cool. This was 11 years ago. I know like I'm 12 still, but 11 years ago, I started real estate as a 19-year-old and only dealt with Google pay-per-click, Facebook, some realtor.com. And then I would walk around the office and ask everyone in the office to give me their old leads, and I'll give them 25% if I close one. A really good proposition for them. Probably a bad proposition for me. I spent a lot of time with poor leads and a lot of time working on deals that I'm not sure we're ever going to close. But at the end, I learned that I need to touch on more people than just people I don't know because it only got me so far. Now I did well, admittedly. I did 35 my first year. I did 40 the next year. I did 55 the next year, but no referrals were happening. If I didn't keep the engine moving, nothing else happened for me. So it was time to develop a strategy. And believe it or not, the first thing I did, by the way, I'm awfully introducing myself. So I'm going to quickly tell you I'm Travis Cox. I have a team in Louisville, Kentucky, and I work for KWRI and Command as a labs manager. And 71% of my units and 78% of our GCI the last couple of years were strictly from past clients and sphere of influence. So we changed our whole approach. So it's special to me. And I really wanted to find what the word client even means. So starting out, let's talk about it. Anyone in your sphere who has, can, or will work with you and or refer you business as a client, technically. Does anyone say no to that? It's okay if you do. I'm open to ideas. But anybody that can or will transact or can or will refer you business is a client, technically, for me. And it's not exclusive to buyers or sellers. You should 1000% be thinking about this as realtors and vendors as well. I don't know if anyone's heard Gene Rivers talk, but Gene Rivers says he went to, after a tough year in his business, he went to all the vendors that he did business with and said, wow, we've given you all this business and you haven't given us anything. I must be a bad partner. Like, there's strategies out there to get business from your vendors, and we just don't ask them. We're not used to doing it. It's not something that is normal. No realtors are asking them. But it's a good way to build a network if you're one of those people who say, I don't have a sphere. How many times do we hear that? I hear that at least 35 times a presentation. And my answer to that is pull out your phone, scroll to the very bottom of your contacts app, and tell me how many contacts you have. You definitely have a sphere. That's the cheat. That's the answer. You definitely have one. We just don't talk to them, so we don't think we have a sphere, or we're too scared to talk to them. Admittedly, I've been way too scared to talk to some of my best clients that I now have. I was way too scared to do it. So defining a client is simply the fact that they'll either can or will transact with you. They can or will refer you business. That's it. It's not exclusive to buyers or sellers. And I want to start this whole thing off with saying that you can totally build your sphere with just realtors if you need to. If you're brand new to a city, if you're brand new to a spot, or if you're in my position like I was, and my dad took all of my family, friends, and everyone else that I could call a sphere, the next best thing is that third year, I was like, hey, I've got to figure something out. So I went to Command and I started to add every single person I could to that Command profile as my network. I went into every Facebook group, pitched my abilities. I work in XXX city and I'll do it for 35%. That's way too aggressive, but that's what I did. I told everyone in Command that I would do it for 35%. I friend requested 10 people a day in every single city that was referring deals to our city. And the result was kind of crazy. The result was, and I'm getting ahead of my slides here. Sorry about that, but the result is over 40 Command deals, or Command referrals. There it is, 42 Command referrals in 24 months. Simply because I had a nice profile. I offered more percentages than anyone else. And I made it a consistent thing that I would go out and make a connection with 10 plus realtors per week. And that you're not just done at the connection, by the way. After you hit join my network or request my network, I forgot what the language is, you're not done. You've got to follow up with them. And this is what the rest of the presentation will teach you. But I like to throw this in here because too often we think about client love or clients or our touch programs as only the people that will buy or sell houses, and it's just not accurate. So think about it a different way going forward. And you can use your VA to do this like I did. You could go in and do it yourself. It doesn't take long, but just go to Command, hit the referral patterns, do this once a week, friend request 10 people, and then use what you'll learn here in a second to follow up on that. But it can be done. I think we already talked about this. Update your Command profile, make sure it shines. One thing that I did, by the way, is, and you guys feel free to look me up on there, Travis Cox. I put a yellow background behind my face. It stands out a little bit. Sounds silly, but everybody has a white background on Command. Some have black, some have white. And the yellow one pops. I don't love yellow. I don't own a single yellow piece of clothing, but yellow pops on the screen of all white. So even things like that to make your profile shine, have a really good picture. Have a really good bio. Just make sure you stand out because people read it more than you think, by the way. I've had a few people, I have a very long bio on there. I had a few people call out specific sentences that were buried in the bio, like absolutely buried. So more people actually listen or read than we might think they do. Awesome. And then use social media to stay in front of the partners as well. Like I said, join those Facebook groups, friend request everyone that you friend request on command. That seems like a no-brainer, right? If you request them on command, why aren't we requesting them on Facebook? And that way, and you'll hear this later in the slides, that way, every time you go to Facebook and you want to do your social media outreach for the day, how hard is it to comment and or share and or like a referral partner's post in a different city? It takes 2 seconds. But you're making your presence known. They see your face. You've made the connection. If you keep doing that over time, you're going to become the referral partner of choice in that city. But all we're hoping for is that they think of us when they think of our city. I need a realtor. Oh, great. I'm not going to go to command because I already know Travis. That's where I'm going. Awesome. So let's talk about the 60 touch campaign. I wanted to get through that because that's a really important part. And I feel like we miss it often in our touch campaigns. Does anyone have any questions on that, by the way? I know I said a lot in a little bit of time, but any questions at all? Feel free. All right. So your 60 touch campaign, this is how ours is broken down. 12 giveaways, 1 per month. Doesn't have to be crazy, guys. Like you could do $5 of a Starbucks gift card. You don't have to have a huge budget for this. In fact, one of my favorite touches is getting the tightest group of my VIPs, might be 10 to 15 people sometimes, the ones who referred me the most often. I'll take a screenshot of my Starbucks scan, my little scan thing on Starbucks, the app. I'll preload it with $50. I'll tell them to go get a drink on me. It's not a giveaway that they have to sign up for or draw into or enter. They're simply taking my screenshot, going up to the counter, scanning the QR code, and boom, they got their drink for free. And I'll follow it up with a quick message. I'll say, go get a drink on me. The only thing I ask of you is to think about me the next time you have a real estate conversation with someone, and or send me a picture of the drink that you got as appreciation. And the amount of people that will tell you, I've had an awful day. Thank you so much. This was super helpful. Like this is, brightened my whole day, or I've been really down lately. I needed some love. I get so many cool messages from this. And I do this more often than every month now because it brings me joy. But I think I do it 2 or 3 times a week now. And I'll pick a couple people. You don't have to do it with everyone. I just pick a couple people that I saw on Facebook. Maybe they need it, by the way. So if you're scrolling through Facebook and someone's having a rough time, I include them in my group. But again, the amount of people who take that as a small act of kindness and then now think of you as someone totally different than just someone reaching out to them asking for referrals, it's a big deal. And if you're into that kind of thing, making people feel happy, I think we all are probably, it works.
Hey,
You could
Travis.
also, yeah, go ahead.
Hey, this is Lisa Sorvig here. I'm up in the Twin Cities Metro. Hey, question for you. When you do that, I'm just thinking in my head, what if they ordered like 5 Starbucks drinks or like spent like,
Yeah.
is there like a limit, or do you just say, hey, here, buy 1 cup of coffee on me? Or has anyone ever taken advantage of it?
Oh, 100%. So a couple times I'll do it to like if I'm low on referrals, I'll just do it to a larger group. And I don't know what's going on with this. I think I'm getting a phone call on something I don't know how to stop. What is that? Is that you guys or me? Sorry. Yeah, it definitely happened, especially on the larger groups. So like if you go past 5 or 10 people, I've had someone actually take about $65 of a $250 budget before. They either got their whole office coffee or they bought breakfast and coffee. I don't know what they did, but $65 is gone. They may have gotten a cup. I don't know. So after that happened, you said the answer. Say, get a cup of coffee on me. I used to say, here, brighten your day, or I would be very vague about what you could do with it. Now I say, get a cup of coffee on me.
Got
Now,
it.
there are still some people who take advantage of that and they'll get $15, $25. So I'll even say, make sure you leave some for the rest of us or the rest of the crew. Like they all know now at least that it goes to more people than just them. And sometimes I even have to say, hey, you might want to go before 5. Like it's gonna run out. Because I've had some people, by the way, go and it's gone. And that's not a bad thing though. If you want to make that let that happen and you can tell them like, hey, let me know if you get there and it's gone, I'll load another $5 or $10. You don't have to do that part, but that is something that I've turned into a better conversation after that. Like, no, you don't have to do that. I'm like, no, please, I offered it. I want you to do it.
Yeah, I used to do $5 Starbucks gift cards, and then I realized that $5 doesn't really go that far at Starbucks
Yeah.
anymore because like an average drink is like $6.50. And then I'm like, and if they don't like Starbucks, then they just throw the gift card away, or it just goes, who knows where it goes, you know? So it's basically throwing money away. Where I like this better because you can actually make sure that the money is spent and they used it.
Yeah, you can see it. Hey, and one of the cool things too is you get all the rewards. So I get coffee for free too. It works out fine. But I love it. It's something that I've completely grown into like the personal side of my life, not just business. I'll do it with some friends who never even think about using me. In fact, I do have a few friends who tell me they will not mix friends and business, and I still include them on this because even though they won't work with me, what did we talk about on the slides before? It can also be someone who will refer you too. Just because they can't transact with you doesn't mean they won't refer you. But they won't do that unless you communicate that that's okay too. So the people who've told me I won't mix friends and business, I'm like, great, I totally understand that. Do you mind referring me when you hear of someone looking to buy or sell? How do they say no to that? The tough no. I haven't had someone say no yet, at least. Let me know if you guys have. So yeah, it's something I love doing. I'm sure there are other coffee companies that offer the same type of structure with the QR code. So whichever one you feel comfortable doing it at, it doesn't have to be a coffee company either. If it's a food place or if it's somewhere that you like going more often, do it. It's something that is cheap enough and it's effective enough that you get conversations back. And by the way, your whole goal is on any giveaway is to either gather information or have a conversation. Those are your only 2 goals. So if you're doing giveaways to build your database, you need to ask for their updated phone number, email address, offer them a bit of value. If you're just simply being nice and trying to bolster your VIPs, give it out and ask for a conversation. And it can just be like, hey, Austin, thanks for using it. What did you get? You're not asking for referrals. You're just simply having a conversation. It goes way further than we believe or we might think it does. Next is a video. This is the unpopular one. And I totally get it. I hated videos when I first started and had to get really creative with them. And if I had more time, I would show you one of the awful videos I made that were super embarrassing. If you have time, go to my Facebook page and then hit videos and scroll to the bottom and you'll have a good laugh. But make a video a month. In fact, if you're really trying to, if you have a large goal, let's say you have a 60 unit goal or a 50 unit goal, 36 unit goal, you might want to make one every week. And they're really not hard, by the way. Like these videos should be 1 minute and 30 seconds long. And the ones that I found to have the most views are the ones where I'm super authentic. It's not produced. I don't have crazy lighting. I love Kim Pozak, and Kim Pozak is a master at what he does on YouTube. But you also don't have to do that to get a similar result. If that's your goal to go long form content, do the Kim Pozak, all the stuff. If you're scared to do videos, just make 1 minute and 30 seconds and make it real. In fact, I actually want to ask you to go to my Facebook page and there's a video on there I had my son with me. He's screaming. I'm giving market stats. I didn't stop. And it had more views than most of my videos. It was goofy. All I said was the hot sheet numbers, how many new listings there were that week, how many pendings there were that week, how many closings there were that week. And then I took the amount of price drops from that week and divided that by the total active listings on the market for that week. And I got a percentage of the market that dropped their price. So I would say, awesome. Here's my Friday market update. We had 222 new listings, 322 went pending, 400 closed, and 13% of the total active listings on the market dropped their price last week. Check in again next week and let's see if it goes up or down. That was the video. Honestly, once they call me at the end, but that was it. And they were getting 1,000 to 2,000 views pretty consistently. So it's insane just by having a quick 90-second video with a little authenticity behind it. You're not trying to do too much. You're showing up as an expert. You're being real, what it can do for your business. You're probably not going to get someone that comments and says, I'm going to buy a house with you now. So don't think that's the outcome. The outcome is that you do it consistently enough that, married with everything else on this slide, you're just showing up. You're in the back of their mind. There's Travis again. He made another video. It's funny. Cool. I'm not going to watch it, but I see it. In fact, you probably shouldn't care if they watch it or not. It doesn't matter. Again, married with all of these things, it's a big deal. If you just do the video alone, it's not a big deal. Then you have to go Ken Pozak and make it produced. But that's Ken Pozak's main thing, right? Ken Pozak is videos. That's what he does. But if you're like me and you're scared to do them, 90 seconds. That's all you need to do. Newsletter is next. When I first made this client love class, ChatGPT wasn't a thing. So I had to make these. Now you do not have to make these. In fact, if you're going to family reunion, please come and see me on the technology stage at 9 o'clock on Monday. And I'll talk about how to make a newsletter with ChatGPT. But I'll briefly tell you that your newsletter should be very simple. It should be an item of value. It should be something that you did. And then something that they can take action with. In our team, we call it What's Up This Weekend. So it is something of value. Here's a quote, a book that we like, a cool review, whatever it is, a giveaway, come to our next client event, something of value. Our team did X this month. We did a great job, yada, yada, yada. Here's the review again. And then what's up this weekend? And what's up this weekend is simply a list of things that they can do with their family this weekend in your city. So ours is Friday, here's 2 things you can go do that are free. Saturday, here's 2 things that you can do that are free. One might be a drive, right? Like might be 20 minutes away, but just give out a few things that are, in, even say kid friendly, not kid friendly, whatever it is. Provide links. So this might be a 1-page, 3 to 5 paragraph newsletter that you're mailing out. And by doing this, by the way, by adding the What's Up This Weekend and making them shorter, because they used to be like 5 pages long, and our open rates were like 22%, 23%. The second we dropped down to 3 to 5 paragraphs and What's Up This Weekend, we just had our team meeting. The only reason why I know this number to an exact T is because I just saw it 30 minutes ago. 49.4% was the open rate on the last batch. That's huge. It's going to over 3,000 people. It means 1,500 people opened our email. But they're used to seeing it now being short, simple, to the point, valuable, something they can take action with. So remember, value, something you did, something they can take action with. That's what a good newsletter consists of, in my opinion. Cool. Next, monthly home value report. There's a couple of different ways you can do this. You either do it in command on the monthly neighborhood nurture. It's not specific to their property, but it's specific enough that they get information that is valuable to them. Or 2, if you use Fellow or HomeBot, any of those softwares I would recommend, but figure out a way to get a home value report to everyone that you have an address for. And if you don't have an address for them, get an address from them. The amount of engagement that goes on in these home value reports is way more than I even thought to realize at first. And the great thing about these home value reports is you're not being selfish and it's all about you. It's about them. It has nothing to do with you, actually. It might have your picture on it, might have your name on it, your information, but it's all about them. They get to see what's going on in their neighborhood and or what their home value looks like. And don't be afraid if it's wrong. They say, oh, you're $20,000 off. Great. Tell me why you think that. Did you do any upgrades to your home? What do you think that does? It's an opportunity for a conversation to get in front of them.
Hey, Travis, I have another question. This
Yep.
is Lisa Sorby here. Hey, I have most of my database on the monthly neighborhood nurture, but I noticed that very few people open it. It is cool though when they do. If you had to pick between HomeBot or the monthly neighborhood nurture, which one would you pick? Or is
would
it too much to do both?
No, I think both is actually fine.
Okay.
I actually do both. I have Fellow and I do monthly neighborhood nurtures.
You do both. Okay.
It's hi.fellow.com, I think. HIFELLO. Sorry, I'll put it in the chat. Instead of fumbling over it, I'll just put it in the chat. There you go. It says Google Fellow Seller Value Report, I guess it is. Now, like I said, I do both. Thank you for that question. And I tell my clients on the front end, by the way, everything in this needs to be communicated to your people that you're sending it to. Don't just randomly send all this stuff. They're gonna be like, what the hell is all this? Everyone that you're going to send this to, I would let them know that, hey, I'm doing a lot of work on my business and I'm going to start providing a lot of value to you. Do you mind if I include you in our giveaways, our client events, and even sign you up for some home value reports that can tell you a little bit more about your property? It's only monthly. It's not going to be a bother to you, I promise. I've gotten very little no's. I've gotten some no's from people who probably weren't going to work with me again anyway. So let them know, number one. But two, it's totally okay to send both when you communicate it. And you say, I'm going to send you one that is very specific to your property. So every time you open it, it's going to be very specific to your property. It may not change. It may stay the same for a full year. Or it may go up and down every week. And the value in saying that is now they're going to check more often than not. And I actually saw those checks, those open rates go up for simply stating that line. Like, oh, I should check weekly? You don't have to. If you want to, sure. In the monthly neighborhood nurture, you're going to say, this is specific to your neighborhood. So if you want to know if, your neighbor Jim up the street sold his house, go there. Every month it'll give you a report about what's went active, what's sold, what's pending. Tells you all the good information. So just let them know the difference between both. So in ours, I'm cheating on this 60 touch campaign because ours is actually 72 because we send both. And then the quarterly mailed newsletter. This is so simple to me, and it might be too simple. And I'm open to being wrong about this, but it's been working for us. Instead of literally making a newsletter that's 2 or 3 pages or a binder, we see some that are just foldables or, they're brochures. I take a postcard, I put a QR code on it, I put my face on it, and I say, scan me. And all it does is go to that month's newsletter. That's it. I'm seeing some faces like, why the hell do you do that? The answer is they're not reading it anyway. What's it matter? It's my face combined with all these things. They see my face yet again.
Hey, Travis, question for you. Do you do that through command?
You can, yes. I say you can because I have. I don't currently because we wanted a little bit more customization. I used command for quite a while though doing it, and it worked just fine. But I just wanted a tad more customization on size.
So what do you use?
The company that command uses, Real Mailers.
Oh, okay, you go directly through them.
Yeah, it's actually, believe it or not, it's actually cheaper on command sometimes, depending on how many and what size and things like that. So most of the time. I mean, we can go back to it and be fine. It just would take some extra time for us. But most of the time, 90% of the time, it's going to be just fine for you. But I love it because again, it's just my face. Now standing alone, it's nothing. It's just like a stool that has 4 legs. Like you take one leg out, it's not as valuable. Or if that leg's by itself, it's not going to stand up. Same thing. That quarterly mailed newsletter is absolutely worthless if I'm doing it by itself. So you have to be consistent with all of these if you plan to do any of it. That's my like, if you don't take anything else away, take that away. If you don't do all of it, don't do any of it. Because the second you show up as inconsistent, what does that do to your client in their mind? Cool, it's Travis, the inconsistent realtor again. He decided he needs more business this month. That's the message you're portraying if you don't do it consistently. So even if you have 24 steps, or even if you have 12 steps, do all 12 intentionally and consistently. Cool. So if you want to go the full mail newsletter route, by the way, no shade on it whatsoever. I don't believe people read them, but if you do them. I am again open to being wrong on that part of it. I just noticed that they don't really scan it either. But people say, "I got your newsletter again." I'm like, "Oh yeah, did you read it?" And they're like, "No, it's just a QR code on it." Perfect. You at least know what it is. Thank you. That's the whole point. You want to be visible. And then the quarterly client event. The client event is the most valuable part of this entire thing, I think. And again, if you don't have a big budget for client events, I didn't have any budget when I started out. I was asking people to pay for it. I asked my dad, by the way, for his credit card to pay for my first client event. How embarrassing that is. But I did. Um, and the client event doesn't have to be, again, doesn't have to have this huge budget to it. And the best thing you can do for your client events to start is number one, plan them. Have a robust plan on how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how many touches you are going to send to your clients to invite them, what it will cost. And then you go to a vendor that you work with primarily and you say, "Hey, I have a client event. It's going to cost this much money to be a premium sponsor and to be included on every single invite we send, to have a booth there or your picture or your name, be able to give out something, have conversations. It's going to cost you X." And if you only have one vendor, ask them for 100% of it. They don't know how much it costs, the full amount at least. Okay, well, I'm asking for $5,000 to be a premium sponsor. They're not going to say, "Well, how much is the total event?" I've not had that question one time. And I haven't paid for a client event outside of paying my dad back for his credit card expense for the first one. I haven't paid for a client event since I've started doing them outside of that credit card bill. It's all paid for by vendors. Ideally, you want 3 or 4. And don't just stop at your home inspector and your lender and your title company. Ask your insurance agent too. I send every one of our contracts, with permission, of course, to the insurance agent we're partnered with. And he provides us money with every single client event. It's important. They're included in the process too. So anyone else that you include, if it's a radon guy, if it's a termite, it's all the way down to home warranties. It doesn't matter if they're a vendor and they're included in a transaction in some way, shape, or form, and they are wanting to have a relationship with you. You make that part of your world now. Like, great, to be in a relationship with me and to get my business, I expect a few things. One, I expect you to give me some referrals when you have them. Number two, you can't get them all, right? They have other people they work with too, but stating that you want them is important. Number two is, when I have client events, I expect you to be able to help me because we're a partner. We're in this together. We're all trying to get more business together. And it works. Typically, we spend $3,000 a client event and we'll invite 250 to 300 per client event, depending on what type of event it is. 100 will show up. That's perfect. I'm fine with that. There's some that we do even less. It's like our last client event, we rented out a movie theater and There were only 75 seats. We invited 150 people. Exactly 75 showed up. We got super lucky, but exactly 75 showed up. There was 150 that were invited though. So you hope to get at least half register that you invite, and a lot of times only half will show up. But if you do them often enough and you do them consistently enough, you'll see your participation rise quite a bit throughout the number of events you have. My first one, 2 people showed up, and I paid like I think it was like $2,000 total. 2 people showed up. Yeah. But I invited a little over 400 people. They weren't even in my sphere. They were just a bunch of leads I had in a database. I still like to believe I got business off of those invites, but only 2 people showed up. And what we're going for here on the client event is the journey, not the result. The journey is way more important. Because if you do them right, you're going to have 3 to 5 touches before your client event even starts. That's not even in the 60 touch campaign, by the way. 3 to 5 touches before your event even starts. The easiest way to think about this is 90 days out, once a month from there on out, and twice the week of. There's your 5. And the reason why that is important is even if they're not going to come, I get a ton of people who say nothing when I invite them. Invite them on text, email, I'll call them, Facebook Messenger if I can't get a hold of them. They won't even respond because I told them that's okay, by the way. I've said, don't feel like you have to respond to every client event. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But when you can come, I'd love to see you there. So it's okay if they don't respond. Don't get upset. I made that mistake a few times and it doesn't work out. Then you're like, I'm never doing this again. No one came. If I stopped there, I wouldn't have the business I have today. So any questions on client events at all? And by the way, one of the cool things you can do is make a giveaway married up with a client event. It's like if it's the month of your giveaway and you have a client event that same month, use that as an attractor too. You've got to come to redeem your prize in person. What type of events do you find most successful? I love the movie theater deals. Find a small movie theater in your town. Doesn't have to be one of the big ones. Like the one that I went to had 75 seats and it was one of the smaller ones in our area. It wasn't that expensive, by the way. We spent a total of $1,200 on the popcorn, drinks, and a movie. And again, we didn't pay for it. We had 4 vendors involved. It was very cheap for all of them. They thought it was great. I also love like the activity ones. So one of our most attended ones was we had a parking lot. We got a inflatable TV screen. It was like 60-foot tall TV screen that was inflatable. We had the movie Trolls. A bunch of kids came. We had cookout food. We had 2 food trucks there. We had cornhole, drinks for the adults. It was like a big cookout and hangout. It was fun. That one was a super expensive one. That was like $7,000. But the other ones that are cheaper are Pictures with Santa, super cheap. Santa's like $150 for 4 hours. There's a photo bus called Dolly the Photo Bus. There's a bunch of copycats elsewhere. Or this bus will show up. It's a really cool backdrop. You hire a photographer for $200 for 2 hours, and boom, you line up the sessions, 5 minutes each. Get your pictures in. They're all free. They don't have to be super. And by the way, you don't have to show up as like the perfect host of the party at these client events. In fact, I rarely even talk to everyone at the client event. I actually leave early quite often. It's not about me. That's where we mess up in all of our touch campaigns, by the way. And I'm going to have some people disagree with this. And I disagree with it for a long time. So I'm with you. I get it. But too often we think that it should be about us. And in reality, like, they don't really care. New leads, especially. New leads do not care about what you want and what you need in this relationship. New leads want to go out and see a property, right? That's all they care about, especially if they don't know you. people who know you, they're typically not going to a lot of events outside of something they want to be at, or that their friends are going to, or that their family's going to. So if you make it all about, well, it's me and this great business, and we want you to come hang out with me. I want to talk to you because I need your business, yada, yada, yada. It just doesn't go as well. But if you just simply invite them, don't pressure, don't show up in a way that you need to be the only one to speak to them that day. It's so much more relaxed. It's like a hangout, and no one expects you to pop up in their face and ask for business. It's the last thing that I want to do, and especially for the first 10 to 15 events we did, I felt like I needed to talk to everyone before I left. I needed to ask them all for business. That's because that's what someone told me to do. It was not rooted in fact at all. In fact, I saw less participation in our client events when I did that. When I stopped doing it and the same people kept coming, they would then be like, hey, can I bring my friend? Like, yeah, great. Bring them. Have them register for the event. Let's make sure they fill out our Google form. And what does our Google form have? Name, email, address, phone number. Do you plan to buy or sell in the next 12 months? If you do, where would you go? Have you talked to a lender? Do you want to refinance? It's a big questionnaire. So again, just think about how you take yourself out of it for 2 seconds, plan it, show up. Don't think that you have to go and talk to everyone and ask them all for business while they're there. That's what the touches before the event are for. The event is actually your time to be like, cool, that's over. Let's hang out. I'm good. Like, I don't have to do any more business now. We're good. You should enjoy it just as much as your clients do. And they'll come up to you and talk to you. I noticed that as well. The less I tried to interact, the more they interacted with me. I know that sounds crazy, but it worked for whatever reason. And then I'll leave early. I'll help clean up real quick, and then we're out. Let them enjoy it. It's about them. One of the cool things that I noticed too is my clients actually ended up talking with other clients, making friendships, and then they would all come together to the next events. It was just, it began to be way more about them than me. So I know I keep harping on that, but that's important. And all your communication with any client, I think, is to realize it's not about you. Any questions about events other than that, other than what type?
Travis, do you do phone calls with your events? Are you calling the entire database like a quarterly call or text message, or is it just email and direct mail?
It's a great question too. I do quarterly call everyone. So I'm married up with the client event. But again, I'll establish those touches before the event even starts. So not even included in this campaign, by the way. But so if I know I have a client event coming up in April, I'm calling once a month and I'm following it up with a text. Now, if they've answered me before, they said they are or are not coming, I'm not calling them again the next month. But I call them every month, text them every month until the event starts 2 times the week of. And if they did register the week of, they're getting 2 text messages, just reminders. And you can do this with Eventbrite, by the way. So Eventbrite will actually send them reminders for the event. And I love it. So even if your event's free, use Eventbrite. It's great. You can track the progress, the ticket sales, the whole 9 yards. But your entire touch campaign should really be a funnel for your client event. Your monthly giveaway mentions it. Our next client event is this date, by the way, but you're on the lookout for it. Your monthly video might mention it. Can't wait to see you guys in 3 months. You'll be getting some invites about our new client event. We're doing this. Your monthly newsletter definitely mentions it. Hey, don't forget our client event's down here. Here's the link to register. Because if you do quarterly, truly, you always have a link ready for the next client event, technically, right? You'll always have it if you're truly doing them quarterly. And it's okay if you don't have it on the exact day you're sending it. Let's say your monthly newsletter is supposed to go out on the 15th. If you know you're planning your event and you're not going to have it for 2 weeks, send it 2 weeks later. You don't have to be super consistent with the date. The fact is that the action itself needs to be consistent. It's okay to move the date around a little bit if you need more information for it. But to answer your question fully, outside of client event invites, I don't call the database often. Because why do we need to? We have a monthly giveaway for them. We have the video they see. We have the newsletter they get. We have the home value report and the monthly neighborhood nurture. I always mess that up. We have the quarterly newsletter, and then we're already calling them to invite them to events more often than we would be calling them quarterly anyway, because they're getting 5 touches over that 30-day, 90-day period. I'm calling on their birthday, this is next, by the way, so we can go ahead and talk about this, but how often do you guys get calls on your birthday outside of your family? I never do. I don't know about you guys, but I never do. I could be the sad lone wolf here, but I love calling on their birthday because it's just way more personal than a Facebook comment. Everyone's doing a Facebook comment. And it's really simple. It's just, hey, saw it was your birthday. I hope you have a great day. You do anything fun? No? Awesome. Well, have a good day. Anything I can do for you? Great. See you at the next client event. Super simple, but it goes a long way. I do the same thing for bigger things as well. I use Facebook as kind of a bouncing board for me. And I think I always go ahead of my slide. Here it is. Perfect. I use Facebook as my lead generation. I have not taken a lead in 6 years because I just do Facebook. And all I do is the 555. So I'm going to pass some of this stuff up. Oh, this is actually good. The first thing you should do to execute this strategy, by the way, is to go into Facebook and create a list. Watch a YouTube video if you don't know how to do it. It's super simple, but it takes some buttons to click. You got to click the right buttons to get to it. First step, friend request everyone that you consider a VIP client. Past clients, sphere of influence, people that can and will refer you, people that can and will transact with you. Friend request them all. Next step is put them all on a list on Facebook. And what's great about that list is when you go to it, you only see their post. And why is that important? Now I get to scan that list and I use that list to decide who I'm calling that day. And by the way, it's only 5 people on the way to work and 5 people on the way home from work. And you're using current events to call. So if they got a new job, perfect, they're on my list. If something sad happened, I know it's not the easiest conversation to have, but if something sad happened, they're on my list to call. As long as it's not, obviously within the right zones of time and things like that. But if they, new relationship, anniversary, they're on my list to call. Got a new dog, they're on my list to call. Kid's birthday, they're on my list to call. And what's funny about this is I never ask for business on these. They know why I'm calling though. And I'll give you a funny story about it. We have a little bit of time for it. I started this in 2020. I sold 103 houses personally in 2020. Half of it was because of what I'm about to tell you. In September the year before, in 2019, I knew I needed to start calling more often. And I didn't have a perfect 60 touch ready just yet. It was sort of there. I had like 36 touches, but wasn't super valuable. I didn't have all the stuff I know now from all the people I've learned from. And someone kept telling me to call 5 people every day. And they said, use Facebook, like I'm telling you. So I went to Facebook, and one of my friends who had just bought a house with me posted a picture of his kid doing handstands in the crib. And at the time, I had a 1-year-old, or about to be one. I couldn't necessarily relate perfectly. Like, my child can't do handstands in the crib, but I called and I was like, hey, saw your post. That was really funny. Your kid doing handstand in the crib. And he was like, yeah, what's up? Like, I didn't know what to say next. It was the most awkward conversation of my entire life. I was like, how you doing, man? Do you have any like dad advice for me or anything? It was the worst conversation. It just kept getting more awkward and awkward. The funny thing is, it was so awkward that neither of us knew how to stop it. So we talked for like 35 minutes about absolutely freaking nothing. It was awful. What's cool about that story though is 7 referrals over the next 8 months from him alone. I made him my test dummy. I called him every freaking month. I found something on Facebook to call him with every single month. I never asked for a referral and he sent me 7. Not one time did I ask. And they were awful. Like every one of the phone calls were awful. They were they were all lacking an agenda other than, cool, I saw your Facebook. He's like, dude, are you doing this again? Like, yeah, I am. How are you? But I wanted to get good at it. He clearly didn't mind. It was already awkward. Screw it. We were fine. We're good friends to this day. So they can result in that, or it can result in referrals, or it can result in just you being a great person. All are great results. And I love the ones, this sounds bad. I love the ones that are sad because you get to make an immediate impact, even if you're not saying anything valuable. The amount of people that post something on Facebook looking for help or looking for someone to love on them is high. I think we can all agree on that. Facebook is used to get attention. So people usually post there to get attention. And some of it's warranted and no one checks up on them. And so I love including the ones that are somewhat somber or sad because again, they make immediate impacts. And I love hearing the quick cheer up at the end of the call. And sometimes you don't get the quick cheer up, but you were a shoulder for them. And that shows up way more than I can even talk to you about. It's actually changed my life in a way because there's moments where I feel like everyone feels like this sometimes. You feel like you get down, you need somebody to pick you up. I make those calls when I'm down to the ones that are sad because it makes you it gets you in a different mindset. So don't forget to include those. Any questions on the 555? Call your referral partners too, by the way. They are included in this 555. They know what you're doing. You don't have to say it, but they know what you're doing. Promise they know. And this is an everyday activity. So this is not even included in the 60 touch. So we can go way more than 60 touches. And that's to further answer your question about do you call quarterly? This is all why I do not. In fact, I feel like if you prescribe your calls on a certain day or a certain time, it's not authentic enough, in my opinion, or in my feeling, at least when I do it, because I did it for a long time, but it's not authentic enough. I don't have a great reason to call. I'm not providing any value. I'm simply asking them to help me. Now, on the flip of that, if you use Facebook to create your list, and at the very end of your call, if you want to ask for referrals, I say something like this, especially for the beginning of the year ones. I say, I've got a really big year planned. My goal is to give $20,000 in charity. I have a goal to get blank amount in my kids' college tuition fund, and I have to sell blank amount of houses to do that. And if you don't mind, from time to time, I'm going to ask for your help. They're like, well, yeah, what do you need? If you ever hear anyone looking to buy or sell, please, 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 please connect me. That's all I ask. I don't ask anything else. I'm probably not going to ask you again the rest of the year. But just realize I have a really big goals and I'm going to count on you for support. That's okay. Haven't had a single person say, don't call me or text me or ask me for support. Not everyone's going to refer you, though. I still call them. It's just the consistency that matters. Any questions surrounding that so far? I went through all of my slides, by the way. I do this almost every freaking time. Yeah, make calls based on noteworthy conversation starters. Any questions while I'm gathering my bearings on my slides again? This is one I like to do as well. If you don't want to call at the end of the day, just go comment, share, show up as support. How many times do you see a post where they need someone to share it? Or maybe they're asking for comments. Show up for them. Be a part of it. Don't just like. Try your best to actually not to just like. I don't look at who likes my posts. I'm sure some of you do or do not. I do on certain ones. I take it back, but it's not the main reason why I'm doing the social media reach out. I want them to see me and or read something I have to say and or know that I'm there. So please, if you're going to do the 555, try your best to do more comments and shares and messages than you do likes. I think you're on. Are you trying to ask me something, Sarah? You might be on mute.
Oh, I tried the space bar, it didn't work.
Okay.
Do you ever do events at your house? Or like I live in a community that has a clubhouse, and my builder rep has said she would do events with me. So we're quarter 1, we're, don't have anything planned yet. So I'm kind of frantically like, what are we gonna do?
100%. I love it's especially people who you really trust and like and know. Your house is a great way to gain some automatic trust. Like people just feel differently when you're invited to your property, especially for a party like that. So yes, I have. Now I don't do it with people who I barely know. Like if I just sold a house to them and I don't really know them, we didn't communicate a lot, probably not inviting them. But if it's at a clubhouse, do your thing. I'm all for that. I think that's awesome. And I would encourage it. It some of the client events, by the way, can be simple things like watching a football game. Jason Abrams one time, um, I was venting to him about the fact that I need to get better at some of the client events. I need to like really streamline some of them to make them feel more real. And he went on and told me this, and he's taught this class several times, I think, but he went on and told me this great story about how someone took their likes and turned them into a profit center for them. And it was a lady in I think the Carolinas who loved tennis, and she played tennis every week. And he was like, "Perfect, go start a group." And she's like, "What do you mean?" So she goes and starts a group. It's like, perfect. Now invite everyone to this group and make it once a month. And they did it. And she went from selling 12 to 15, and there's way more to this story, but she went from selling 12 to 15 houses a year to like 50 houses a year, simply because she was the tennis lady. Another person did shopping. She got a group of girls together and went shopping every month. Increased her business by like 50% just for going shopping with people that she liked. And then football. I turned every single, and this wasn't a part of the Six Touch either, but it's truly the client event because clients come to it. Open invite, first weekend of football. A lot of my friends either go to a bar to watch the football games and are in past clients in the sphere, and or open invite to Vegas, by the way. You guys more than welcome to come the first weekend of football. I tell all of the past clients and VIPs that I know that watch football that got this great group going to Vegas. We'd love to make you a part of it. Feel free to come out. I've had some people take me up on it. Over the last 5 years, I think 25 or so of my clients have come. It's awesome. That's a little extreme. But if you're just going to watch like the UK games, for example, if you're always going to watch the Saturday game and you know you're going to, make that a profit center for yourself. Invite everyone over to a restaurant or your house, everyone that you think and also know is a UK fan, of course, or just like sports, and make that your thing. Or if you like cooking, invite a group of people over to come cook with you. Make it a cause. Hey, we're gonna go cook for the homeless this week. Who wants to come help? Let's go hand it out together. If you make things like that impactful, I mean, they don't have to be super thought out, crazy client events. It could just be something that you love doing that other people also like doing. What other questions? The videos popped up again. So videos of socials at least 5 times a month, if you can, once a week. Some of these giveaways around here. Would it help if you want all of the slides, by the way, would it help if I sent them to you if you send me your email? Awesome. Can you, here, I'll do this. Text me your email. There's my number. Text me your email and I'll send everything to you. I wanted to get to this slide real quick before we leave. I know we're already a minute over, but Hit 'em Up on iOS, if you have an iPhone, is an amazing app. If you want to send mass text without putting them all in a group, the app called Hit 'em Up will let you pre-select groups of your clients make the message, and then you have to hit send over and over and over and over again. But it comes from your phone number. It's not a group text. Doesn't look like spam. I love it. For the newsletters, I use MailChimp or Beehive. Beehive's a little more expensive, but I think it has cooler features. And then we use Follow Up Boss for everything else in Command and Follow Up Boss together. I've separated out my database to where all of my VIPs are in my Command, and all of our new leads who don't have, who we haven't really gotten into contact with or transacted with are in Follow Up Boss. But there's my phone number. Please text me your name and email address if you want all the slides. And if you have any questions, I love answering them. Feel free to reach out. I have no problem with you asking me a question. Now, if I don't get back to you in like 5 seconds, it's because other people also texted. So I can't promise I'll be super quick, but I promise you I'll answer your questions. Cool. All right. Appreciate you all. See ya.